Right now, things in the Strait of Hormuz are looking tense, like seriously tense. This narrow stretch of water, only about 21 miles wide at its narrowest point, has always been one of the most important choke points on the planet. Nearly a fifth of the world's oil passes through here every single day. So when military tensions start rising in this area, it's not just a regional problem, it becomes everybody's problem real quick. Energy markets start sweating, shipping companies get nervous, and governments start watching the situation like hawks. At this moment, the United States Navy is reportedly preparing for a scenario it hoped it wouldn't have to deal with again: reopening a mine shipping route while under potential threat. And let's be real, this isn't some easy cleanup job. Mine warfare is slow, dangerous, and stressful work. You don't just roll in and flip a switch. Every movement has to be calculated because one mistake can cost lives and ships. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has reportedly been sending warnings over maritime radio frequencies, basically telling ships to stay out of the area. That alone is enough to make commercial crews uneasy. Imagine you're on a massive oil tanker worth hundreds of millions of dollars and you start hearing radio messages telling you the water ahead might be dangerous. That's the kind of stuff that makes captains double-check everything. To make things even more complicated, some ships in the region have reportedly experienced GPS interference. That means crews have had to fall back on manual navigation techniques. In today's world, where everything depends on satellites, suddenly going old school with charts and visual positioning in one of the busiest waterways on Earth is no joke. That's like your car losing GPS while driving through the most crowded city traffic imaginable. The real danger, though, isn't what's happening on the surface. It's what could be waiting underwater. Intelligence assessments suggest that advanced naval mines could already be positioned in the area. These aren't random explosives. Some are designed to float just below the surface, waiting for contact, while others sit silently on the seabed, detecting sound vibrations or magnetic fields from passing ships. That's what makes naval mines so scary. They don't need to chase you like a missile. They just wait, patiently, quietly, and when they trigger, they hit ships where it hurts the most, below the waterline. Even a modern warship with advanced defenses can be knocked out of action by a well-placed mine. That's why sailors often consider mines one of the most stressful threats at sea. You can't see them, you can't predict them easily, and they force you to slow everything down. For years, the U.S. Navy relied heavily on specialized mine countermeasure ships like the Avenger-class. These ships were purpose-built for one mission: finding and destroying mines. They had advanced sonar systems, mine disposal divers, and specialized equipment designed specifically for this dangerous work. But in recent years, the Navy began shifting its strategy toward newer technology and more flexible platforms. Instead of relying only on dedicated mine hunters, the Navy began using littoral combat ships equipped with modular mine warfare systems. These ships act more like mobile command centers for unmanned systems rather than traditional minesweepers. They launch drones, underwater vehicles, and remotely operated robots that do the actual dangerous work. This is where modern naval warfare starts looking like science fiction. Underwater drones now scan the seabed using extremely detailed sonar imaging. They create digital maps of the ocean floor, identifying anything unusual. Every rock, every cable, every object gets analyzed. If something looks suspicious, another unmanned vehicle is sent to investigate. When a suspected mine is found, a remotely operated neutralization vehicle carefully approaches it. Operators confirm whether it is actually a mine, then place a small explosive charge nearby. The robot then backs away, and the charge detonates, destroying the threat. No sailors exposed. No ships put in immediate danger. It sounds clean, but it takes patience and precision. And patience is exactly what makes this difficult. Because clearing mines is not fast work. Each contact has to be investigated. Each threat has to be neutralized individually. In a narrow waterway filled with commercial traffic pressure, every hour matters. There's also a harsh reality about mine clearing operations. They can't safely begin if the enemy is still actively laying mines or preparing attacks. Before the cleanup even starts, the threat has to be reduced. That means targeting the boats, storage sites, and infrastructure connected to mine operations. Recent military actions suggest that this is exactly what U.S. forces have been trying to do. Reports indicate that suspected mine-laying vessels, including fast attack boats and modified civilian craft, have been targeted. These vessels might look small compared to destroyers, but they can deploy mines quickly and quietly, making them a serious threat. Air power has also reportedly been used to strike storage facilities believed to be connected to naval mines. The strategy is straightforward. It's much easier to destroy a mine sitting in storage than one already sitting underwater waiting for a ship to pass overhead. Helicopters also remain a key part of mine warfare operations. The MH-53E Sea Dragon is one of the most specialized aircraft used for this mission. It flies low over the water, towing minesweeping equipment designed to trigger influence mines safely. These systems simulate the acoustic and magnetic signature of large ships, causing mines to detonate before real ships arrive. This work is extremely dangerous because the helicopters must fly slowly and predictably while towing heavy equipment that makes them visible targets. But their mission is critical because they can clear areas faster than underwater drones alone. Some mines don't stay hidden. Floating mines can break loose or be deliberately placed to drift into shipping lanes. When that happens, naval ships respond immediately. Machine guns and naval cannons are often used to destroy floating mines before they become a hazard. It's not a delicate process. Sometimes it's just about eliminating the threat as fast as possible. One important detail many people don't realize is that the Navy usually doesn't try to remove every single mine immediately. That would take too long. Instead, they focus on clearing a narrow, safe corridor, just wide enough for ships to pass through safely. These corridors are constantly monitored because new mines could always appear. Once a safe path is established, commercial ships may move through under naval protection. Warships patrol nearby, while aircraft and drones watch for threats. It becomes a layered security operation designed to keep traffic moving while minimizing risk. At the same time, destroyers and other naval forces would likely be positioned nearby to protect the mine-clearing units. Their role would include defending against fast attack boats, missile threats, and drones. In a tight operating area like Hormuz, reaction time is short, so everything must be coordinated carefully. Iran's naval doctrine has long focused on asymmetric tactics. Instead of trying to match the U.S. Navy ship for ship, the strategy focuses on creating complications through mines, small boats, coastal missile systems, and drones. The goal is not necessarily to win a direct naval battle, but to make operations difficult and risky. Recent operations by U.S. Central Command appear to be aimed at limiting that capability by targeting vessels and infrastructure connected to mine deployment. Reports suggest multiple suspected mine-related vessels have already been destroyed, along with support facilities. These actions appear designed to prevent the situation from escalating further. These operations also buy time. Time for diplomacy. Time for planning. Time to prevent a larger disruption. Because once a major minefield is fully deployed, clearing it becomes a much longer and more dangerous process. Sea mines may be old technology, but they remain incredibly effective because they create uncertainty. And uncertainty slows everything down. Shipping companies hesitate. Insurance rates jump. Markets react. That's why even a small number of mines can have a huge psychological and economic impact. If a full mine clearing operation were required, it would likely involve a massive coordinated effort. Surveillance aircraft would monitor the region. Drones would scan underwater. Helicopters would conduct sweeping operations. Surface ships would provide security. Electronic warfare units would deal with signal interference. This kind of operation would involve hundreds, if not thousands, of personnel working together across multiple domains. It would be a complex military operation, not just a simple naval patrol. Even with all that capability, the risks would still be real. Mine clearing is one of the most dangerous peacetime military operations because the threat is invisible and constant. Every unidentified object could be a danger. Every sonar contact could require investigation. The biggest concern in situations like this is escalation. If even one major commercial ship were seriously damaged, it could change the entire situation overnight. That's why every move in this region is being watched very carefully. Right now, the biggest question isn't whether the U.S. Navy has the capability to reopen the strait if necessary. It does. The real question is how long it would take and what risks would be involved if it had to happen under active threat conditions. Because even the most advanced Navy in the world has to respect sea mines. They force caution. They force slower operations. They remind everyone that sometimes simple weapons can still have massive impact. As tensions continue, the Strait of Hormuz remains one of the most sensitive strategic locations on Earth. Every patrol, every drone flight, every military movement happening right now is part of a larger effort to make sure this vital waterway stays open. Because if it closes, even briefly, the consequences would reach far beyond the region. Energy markets would react. Trade routes would shift. Political pressure would increase. This is why naval planners take even the possibility of mining operations very seriously. At the end of the day, this situation shows something important about modern warfare. Sometimes the biggest threats aren't the loudest or the most advanced. Sometimes they are the quiet dangers sitting unseen beneath the water, forcing the world's most powerful militaries to slow down and proceed carefully. And right now, the world is watching to see what happens next. Because if clearing operations ever fully begin, it would not just be another naval mission. It would be one of the most important maritime security operations in recent history.